Your biggest asset is your mindset. That's what they said. Ooh, 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 ooh. That's what they said this morning. Spirit said your biggest asset is your mindset. Now, I don't know if anybody else said that before. I have no idea, like, you know. But Spirit told me that. That's what I woke up on. So now I'm sharing with you. And I agree with that, you know, because your mindset changes your whole life. Your mindset creates wholeness or lack or pieces that need to be put back together. Or it just illuminates pieces of you that work. Like, you know, sometimes there's pieces of us that just don't work right now because we have to work on the pieces that don't work because we weren't created for certain things. I just feel like when it comes to weak areas, we can always learn more about them. But when it comes to your strengths, those are what you're supposed to focus on. The strengths, what you know how to do. And then if you want to learn some things that you don't know how to do, then go ahead. But it's more so of that mindset. There's so much that can be done with what you have. You just have to put that work in, you know. As long as you put the work in, you will see the results that you would like to see. I heard from A to Z. You will see the results that you'd like to see from A to Z. You know, because you can notice when someone has a broken mindset, right? Because they don't feel like they can do absolutely anything. They're really warped. Like their mind is warped, so it's not set. Warped and not set. What is the actual definition of warped? I don't think I've ever looked at it before. I know it's distorted, but what does it mean exactly? Let's see. Oh, it actually says warped mind here too. Okay, so it says warped, bent or twisted out of shape. Damn. Okay. Typically as a result of the effects of heat or damp. I heard that saying, can't take the heat, get out the kitchen. So, heat or damp. Some people get overloaded and just really don't know how to sort out their mind. To the point where their thoughts just start floating aimlessly everywhere. Learning how to control your thoughts. That's art. Yeah. How do you teach that? Focus. It's focus. That's how you teach it. Okay, now I'm going to look up warped mind because I see it here on the list. A warped mind is a biased or twisted way of thinking. Right. Many people have twisted ways of thinking. And if you feel like you do, be honest. Be honest with yourself. I think I even had a warped mind at one point. Yeah. I think we all go, well, not all of us. I'm not going to put us all in one category. But in the beginning stages, we think wrong. Especially in younger years. Because we think it would be known, we don't know. Teenagers swear they know everything, don't they? My daughter has this thing, right? I'll tell her something and I know she don't know. She'll be like, I know. No, you don't. I be able to tell her. Why you telling me? You know you don't know. This is the teenager thing. Teenagers be just, they be feeling like they be knowing something that they don't know. It's like, I don't know. It's like you come to this point in life where you know a few things and you think you know. You might have put it together somehow. You're able to put it together, but it's almost like sometimes young minds, they don't want to accept information because they want to believe that there's nothing that they can learn. And I just feel like anytime someone does that, especially a young person, you have to reroute their thinking because then they'll be stuck in such a way that they'll continue to think as tiny as a youngster, like a young one, like a teenager, until they become adults. Because, and you won't see it, because as you become an adult, right, responsibilities start to replace free time. That's how I want to say it. Responsibilities begin to replace why do I have an accent? Replace free time. That'd be the ancestors speaking through me sometimes. Like, wait, what? Be hearing accents popping out. But I just want to say, you'd be surprised how many adults actually think like children. They just had responsibilities that had to replace their free time, and you can't tell until you get what is going on? Get deep into their mind through conversation, or just through watching their moves or how they perceive things, like their perception of things. That's when you notice if somebody is still in a tiny brain state or in a warped mind state, because their mind has like warped where it hasn't changed. So in a way, it's like, I feel like there's a word I want to use that starts with a D, but I don't know what it is. Their brain starts to no, that's too much. It just becomes stagnant. Like, you know, I know you guys know some people like this. You have to know those people that you knew before, or that you were around before, or maybe you were always around them from then till now. Some people, they're stuck. They'll always talk about things from the past, and not in a way to bring something up. It's like all the time. They're always bringing up things from the past in such a way where it's like they live there. They're still there. They're still there. Sometimes you could tell those people, they don't have much talk about the future at all. Some don't even have much talk about the present, maybe for a brief moment. But you'll find that there are certain people that are still stuck in the past. Like, wow. Every conversation, they go back to a memory that is comforting to them. I'm not saying it's bad, like completely, but when you notice that every time you talk to this particular person, they go there and they never go forward to the unknown or to the planned space, the place of the planning and trajectory. They always go in reverse. That's somebody that is stuck right there. And I heard it's like quicksand. It's like quicksand. You know, I saw years ago, quicksand, the thought of quicksand kept poking at me, and I had to go do some research about it. And then I saw this guy show a technique of how to escape from quicksand. So you guys should look that up, just because I feel like, I don't know, it's a survival tactic. I feel like that is a survival tactic. Like, and also, that's stuff that should be taught in school too. Like, you know how the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts go learn how to make a fire with a couple of pieces of something? You know, those things should be taught. How to use a compass, how to use a map. Because I don't want to get into it, because that's going to take me to another topic and I'm going to go too deep. But I don't know, I'm just thinking about those things because they're important. They are things that need to be known, and they strengthen the mindset. When you think in a certain way, it's like you prepare. It's like preparation for the unknown. Everything that's supposed to be in school is not there anyway. So who cares if gets thrown in the incinerator. It should have been thrown in there. I know sometimes some people are probably going to start tripping, but there's no reason to, because it wasn't worth anything anyway. It wasn't. They taught us how to make our mind a liability, not an asset. When we teach each other how to make our mind an asset. Let me look up the definition of asset for you so that you can know. I don't know if I finished saying the definition to warped mind, but it says warped mind is a biased or twisted way of thinking or a mental quirk or judgment. For example, someone might have a warped sense of humor. That makes me think about a dark sense of humor. Some people have a dark sense of humor. Asset. A useful or valuable thing, person, or quality. See, what we've been taught in school is to make our minds useful to someone else, not necessarily for ourselves and our own family. And that's the problem. That's why I said they taught us to have a liability mindset in our own lives, and our minds have become an asset in theirs. And that right there is sad. It shows the control. It like illuminates the control is crazy. That's too much. That's like, wow. When you really think about the steps that we take from birth, like the things that are imposed on us that we are forced to do, or you get penalized, if you really sit down and think about it, it could really trip out your mind. Like, I don't even know what was in that stuff that they gave me as a child, and it's in my body now. And they said, yep, you got to do this or you can't go to school. And then you're like, oh no, I want my child to get their education. You see it? It's like a whole trickety-trip trap. Trickety-trip trap. But now, we're going to talk about how that mind is an asset. Because we make our own minds an asset when we take control of it. When we take control of our thoughts in our mind and we choose instead of letting someone else select for us, that's when you win, because you're going to do everything that's best for you. Those who want your mind to be your own liability, they do not want the best for you. They do not wish the best for you. You know? But your life becomes a test for you. You have to be strong to do what you want to do. Wow. You have to be strong to do what you want to do. You see that sentence? Because as soon as you start doing what you want to do, it's like people start to come for you. Even family, because they feel like a lot of times you have family that's still stuck in a liability mindset. Then they think that you're supposed to do what they feel is right, based off of the lack of education that we've had for all these years, because they're still in the past. And then you have to combat that, and that's in close proximity, because you start feeling like your close people are your enemies, because they're trying to take you away from what you know is right, which is to make your mind your asset, not your liability. Then you try to explain to them why, and they hear you, but it's like they're rejecting it and listening at the same time. Sometimes they can't even listen because it's too much work for their minds to fathom. And then it makes you feel some type of way. It's like a lot of turns and loops, swoops that you go through when you choose you and when you choose to focus on your choices that you want to make for you. And it's just so crazy how the liability mindset, it makes you go into this people-pleasing place, and you completely forget about yourself. And that's when it gets bad, because then you find yourself being unhappy, and then you're like, what's wrong with me? Like, I know I'm doing what I want to do, or at least you think you thought you knew what you wanted to do. You think you thought you knew. Y'all know what I mean. Sound crazy when I said it though, but it's true. You think you thought you knew, because you're basing your desires off of someone else's by mistake. Oops. I didn't mean to do that. I didn't even know I was doing that. Out here tripping, don't even realize we tripping. That's when you really dig, you know, this was masterful, this whole plan here. I can't even front, because wow, for this long, the older I got, the more my mind was like, it's blooming, the petals, just like, each petal is a truth. I heard a soft truth that hardens. A soft truth that hardens. It calcifies. Once it calcifies, you can't. It's not going to leave you. Once you decide to make your mind your asset, that ideology calcifies and it will never leave you. And so everything you do from that point on, when you make that decision, it is a choice that supports your evolution. And those that are willing to take notes to your life, take notes to your life, take notes from your life. The smart thing to do is to learn from someone who knows more than you. That's the smart thing to do. And not to say they know more than you in a condescending way. It's in more of an evolutionary way. A way of change. Like, you're changing, you're growing. You don't have any reason to feel like less of a person because you're doing something. I really feel like the only time people start feeling bad about themselves is when they're not doing anything. Then they start to feel like everyone around them is winning and they're not. That's when it becomes a problem. That's when you become your own liability. Again, there it goes again. This is why Spirit brought this up, because it's true. What are you going to do? Are you going to make your mind your asset or your liability? And you know that liability mindset, it didn't even come from you. It didn't come from your lineage. It did not come from your bloodline. So why would you choose to have a liability mindset in your own life when you can choose to have an asset mindset? It doesn't make sense to choose a liability mindset, because that is benefiting someone else and hurting you. Why would you choose to hurt yourself? Why would you choose to make yourself feel like less of a person if you don't have to? Learn to do what's best for you, not what's best for them, whoever they are. Now, if you have a family, of course, it's different. It's a little different, because you do live for your family at that point when you have a family. Especially like your spouse, your kids, you know, things, the dynamics are different when it comes to what you value, what's important to you, and how you move. You move differently. at that point in time. But still, you still have to have boundaries, even with family, because many of your family members are going to still be stuck in that liability mindset when you are on the asset side of life, and you're thinking about assets. And it's actually a challenge mentally to deal with that. It's like you have to build mental strength and stamina to deal with that, because it gets frustrating. You have a bunch of people around you that are choosing not to educate themselves, and then if you try, they can barely hear you, or they'll keep on reverting back to the liability mindset and trying to draw you back into it. And it's almost like they forget what you said. It's like it's so bad. The mind is so warped in so many people, especially family members, to where you have to keep combating that, and you can't let it get to you, because it could get to you. It could, because it starts to make you feel lonely when you're the only one thinking in such a way, and everybody else is like in la la land. It's like they're like la 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 la, like a kid. Hey, somebody press the button. Damn. Anyway, it's like I did that la 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 for that, and it didn't happen yet. Anyway, but that's how it feels. That's how much people reject growth. People reject it. Growth. Stop cursing at me. I don't want to grow. Like, what? What are you even saying? Did you hear yourself? What are you saying? Just close your eyes. Think about what you said first, and then talk. Because I don't think you realize that you don't make sense. Everybody has their own will, but to wield your will in such a way is like very self-loathing and destructive. There's nothing constructive about not accepting growth in your life. Nothing constructive. Nothing's going to improve in someone's life that is choosing to have a liability mindset. Let's look up the definition of liability, just so you know. It's no bueno. That's what it is. The state of being responsible for something, especially by law. The partners accept unlimited liability for any risks they undertake. Liability can be looked at as accountability and responsibility. A person or thing whose presence or behavior is likely to cause embarrassment or put one at a disadvantage. He has become a political liability. Hindrance, encumbrance. I remember the first time I saw that word, encumbrance, and I thought it reminded me of cucumbers. And I was actually in a real estate course. I was taking one, and I read that, and I was like, an encumbrance? And I looked it up, or I didn't look it up, but I was studying, and it was talking about how, like, say for instance, you have a neighbor, and they have a big tree, and it's towering onto your property's airspace, right? And that's an encumbrance. When somebody else's property is like, or something on their property is affecting yours in some way, encroachment. So I don't know, I just thought about that when I saw that word. I think that's making me go to a place. Okay, let me tell you. Encroachment. Hold on. Yeah, no. Encroachment in real estate is when a property extends over onto another's property without permission. It can happen when a structure is built or when a property's boundaries are unclear. So a lot of times, like, they'll have to go to court if the person doesn't want to, like, cut down the tree. It could be other things too. It doesn't necessarily have to be a tree. I just used that analogy because that's what was there when I read it when I was studying. And it's just, that's why they bring that up. It's like your family and people around you that are stuck with the liability mindset, they become an encroachment. They intrude onto your growth. That's why Spirit just gave me that. I was like, why? But yeah, there's always a dot to connect. This is why it's good to build a relationship with Spirit if you feel like you don't have one. A lot of times when I do these messages for you guys, sometimes I see you say in the comments, and I'll get to the comments soon. I've been busy. Just know, y'all know I love you. Y'all know, but I've been laser focused on a few different projects that I have going on over here. So just know I'm here. I'm here. Yeah. So don't worry about it. I'll be there. I'll be there. I might not respond to every comment, but I will when I have some space and time and I just start going do 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 do. Okay, anyway. So yes, people in our lives begin to become an encumbrance. They get in the way of the growth, and then that's when you have to take some space from certain people. You have to, like, prepare yourself to separate, because it's a hindrance. It really is, dealing with that. And it could bring your emotional state down a couple of notches, because it's bad enough that you know that the people that you love have the liability mindset, but then at the same time when you try to tell them, it's like they accept and reject at the same time, and then they just reject it, and then it's almost like they forget what you said. Sometimes it's like they'll bring it back up, like you didn't have a conversation about why you're not going to do that. So that's already bad enough, just with that right there. But then you have to be mentally strong, because you start to feel some type of way when you don't have anybody to talk to about certain things. It's like you start thinking, how I end up like this? But then you know that you're chosen. God chose you. When God chooses you, a lot of times the chosen are very different in the family. Very different. Mindset is very different. Everything. And then they know how to do so many things that everybody forget that they know how to do stuff. And then they just want you to do everything because they trust you so much that they just feel like you got the magic stick, which you do. But sometimes your stick needs to be charged in the sun, away from everyone. Sometimes I'm not gonna even. All right, so yes, choose to have an asset mindset. All right. Yes. Yeah. Because that's where the magic happens. It's right there. I promise you. It's a promise. And I never make a promise that I can't keep. That's it for this message. I hope you can find it in your heart and it stays there forever, because it's meant to help you. Okay, my loves, everything you do, do it with love. Always remember the creator is in you and the magic is too, because you're my magic. I almost say you're my magic. You are magic. I'll see you in the next reading.